Hi there, welcome back. In this lecture, we will learn about endpoint analytics. How can we enroll for Intune devices as well as the configuration manager devices. So just in case if you want to, go for a shortcut base to, log into endpoint analytics, you can simply visit occur.ms/endpoint analytics. So as I said earlier, we have two options. Endpoint analytics can be enrolled in a Microsoft Intune devices, as well as you can also enroll the devices that are coming from config mgr or SCCM devices. So this lecture would cover for both the courses, even for Intune as well as from the config mgr point of view, because at the end, both does the same thing because as you know, endpoint analytics is a cloud-based solution for you. And the data that is going to come up from config mgr clients or Intune enroll have to be sent back to endpoint analytics, and that has to be processed in the backend within the Microsoft 365 cloud. So that being said, let's understand at the first step how this works. So for the enrolling the Intune devices, once it is enrolled, assume that it has enrolled, it will actually try to manage with the help of a URL called manage.microsoft.com. So that's where it's going to send the data by using these devices. However, if you are talking about the enrolling the config mgr devices, it actually uses Microsoft Graph as well as the manage.microsoft.com. Both the URLs have to be allowed within your firewall so that it can communicate from a config mgr client point of view. Let's also have a look on the pre-requirements. So these are the pre-requirements that are I have listed here are the same for Intune as well as for the config mgr clients. However, for the config mgr client, there are additional requirements are needed. Let's first understand what are the pre-requirements in order to work with the endpoint analytics. So the device that you're going to enroll must be managed with the Intune. That means it has to be in Intune enroll as well as the co-managed device, either one of the keys, right? And if the device is a Windows 10, then it has to be at least the 1903 with the latest version of or 1903 and with a cumulative update, that's the latest version. And also the device must be Microsoft Azure AD joined, or you call it as Entra joined, or Microsoft Entra hybrid joined, or Azure AD hybrid AD joined. So these are the condition it has to meet. But if your device is coming from Active Directory joined, or we call it as the workplace joint, or the devices are just registered in the Microsoft Entra or Azure AD registered, that are not supported. That has to be, to be taken a key point. And the devices must be connected with a service called telemetry services on the devices for the user experience, because that's how it is collecting the data, right? Apart from this, if the device is coming from config mgr, then the config mgr version as well as the client version must be above 2002, and also the devices must come from Intune tenant attached. So we're going to talk about the Intune tenant attached in a couple of minutes, but these are the pre-requirements. Now let's have a look on it, how it looks like before you go into a quick demo on a step-by-step configuration for enrolling the devices into endpoint analytics. So you see here under endpoint analytics, if I just click on it, everything got grayed out, and you have an option to begin the start for enabling the configuration for endpoint analytics. So in the backend, once we have done this, we also have to create a policy, a kind of configuration profile for the health monitoring services, and should be targeted for the devices so that the devices will start reporting to endpoint analytics from an Intune point of view. Now let's have a look on uh, config mgr point of view, and you see here within the config mgr, if you remember, the one of the pre-requirement is to devices must be tenant attached, right? So the tenant attached is nothing but if you just go to the config mgr upload properties, you have an option for endpoint analytics. So this checkbox have to be taken within the tenant attached wizard or on the properties of the uh, tenant attached. So these are the configuration that needs to be configured in order to work with the endpoint analytics. That being said, the next lecture would be a quick demo on enrolling from an Intune point of view, followed by I might create another lecture for config MGR, but otherwise I would include in one lecture. So I'll catch you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching this.